Socialism is economically inefficient. It's a system that socializes poverty.
Let's talk facts, not feelings. In 1917, Russia was an agrarian, miserable country. Its industry represented only 0.5% of world's production, less than colonial India, less than Canada, a country that had barely 3 people living on that frozen rock. Lenin himself wrote that Russia looked like a man who had been beaten to death. Less than 20 years later, the Soviet Union was the second biggest industrial power on the planet. In 1940, steel production jumped from 4.3 million to 18.3 million tons. Coal production from 35 million to 165 million. Between 1928 and 1940, Soviet industry grew 10 to 12% annually. On top of that, they were the first to send a dog, a man, a woman, a satellite, and a space station into space. All of this without free markets, austerity, or privatization. Between 1950 and 1962, Soviet GDP simply doubled. The economy grew an average of 6% yearly, and the average income of its people rose 400% from $2.2 thousand in 1928 to almost $9,000 in 1970. Inefficiency? Poverty? Come on, you've got to be kidding. The hard truth is, socialism is far more efficient than capitalism. China between 1949 and 1978 saw its GDP jump from 55.7 billion to 684.6 billion. A growth of 11.3 times at a pace of 9% per year. It reduced rural poverty from 97.5% to 30.7% and lifted 800 million people out of poverty. No capitalist country in history has come anywhere close. Cuba, strangled by blockade for over 70 years, has a life expectancy of 78.5 years, a child mortality rate of 4 per 1,000 births, and 100% literacy. Better than many so-called rich countries, including the almighty US. Vietnam, destroyed by nearly a century of imperialist war, has grown 6 to 7% per year since its revolution and already surpassed $500 billion in GDP. All this in less than 50 years. Meanwhile, capitalism gives us crisis after crisis, mass unemployment, and people freezing and starving to death in the richest cities on earth. The problem isn't that socialism is inefficient. The problem is that socialism is not efficient for the rich. That's why socialism is the biggest threat to capitalism. It is the only system where wealth finally goes to those who actually create it. For the people, for the planet, for the